The Police Cooperative Credit Union (PCCU) Limited has once again partnered with the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force in sponsoring the 2022 Police Christmas Caroling Contest. Since 2012, the PCCU has been a major sponsor of this very important event on the calendar of activities of the RSVGPF. On Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022, the president of the PCCU, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Enville Williams, handed over a sponsorship check in the sum of $3,900 to the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Colin John, as the credit union's contribution to this year's contest. Other persons present at the brief handover ceremony were Mrs. Anna Samuel, manager of the PCCU, coordinator of the police caroling contest, Assistant Superintendent of Police, Mr. Junior Simmons, and PC 353, Raquel Combs, attached to the Public Relations and Complaints Department. During the ceremony held in the police conference at police headquarters, ACP Williams stated that as part of the PCCU's corporate social responsibility, it is imperative that the institution gives back to the community that it serves. According to ACP Williams, sponsoring the police Christmas caroling contest is just one of the many ways in which the PCCU seeks to execute its vision to be the premier financial institution in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The barber who on August 4th, 2021, stabbed to death a man who attacked him with a broomstick at the barber shop where he worked in Kingstown was sentenced to a further 5 years, 4 months and 12 days in prison on Tuesday. Barrington Bage Cornwall, age 44 of Park Hill, had spent 1 year, 3 months and 18 days in custody in connection with the death of Jexel Skinner, a 40-year-old financial advisor of Edinburgh. As High Court Judge Justin Brian Cottle handed down the sentence at the High Court Number 1, a woman began to vocalize in court and was quickly escorted out by a court orderly. Outside the court, she complained about Skinner's child growing up without a father, while his killer will serve only a further 5 years in prison. Justice Cottle began with a 12-year prison sentence and arrived at the final sentence after considering the aggravating and mitigating feature of the offense and the offender, applying the discount for the early guilty plea and subtracting the time spent on remand. Still on the local scene. On Sunday, 20th November 2022, the New Democratic Party hosted its youth convention at the J.F. Mitchell Auditorium, Democratic House. The convention was celebrated under the theme, My Decision, My Future. The featured address was delivered by Senator Siobhan John, who encouraged the young people to stand up and be counted. She also reminded them of the NDP's commitment to ensure that young people of SVG are represented on the various boards in this country. The president of the NDP, Dr. Godwin Friday, also addressed the convention. He assured the young people that an NDP government will, as a matter of policy, elevate youth development as a foundational element of national development. He further reiterated his commitment to cutting student loans interest rates, investing in technical skills training program, and also paying the fees for students sitting the CXC external examinations. Other speakers included Mr. Shefton Neptune, Senator Israel Bruce, PRO Lavon King, North Windward Youth President Shania Nero, South Central Windward Youth President Alfina Jacobs, and Damian D'Souza from East St. George. In the region, 2 tragic incidents involving tourists has caused Guyana's Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Onej Walrond, to urge persons to only use approved tour operators. The minister, in a statement issued on Wednesday, emphasized that persons should ensure that their tours and tour operators are approved by the Guyana Tourism Authority. Minister Waldron added that following the unfortunate events in October, which resulted in the death of Gladstone Haynes, And more recently, the report of a missing person. The government commenced a search inquiry into these tragic incidents, in which the operations of all stakeholders, including the relevant authorities, will be examined. While no information was provided about the missing traveler, a source told the Guyana Chronicle that the unidentified man was a tourist who was on a fishing trip and was reportedly using an unlicensed tour operator. According to the minister, a key feature of the review of the tragic incidents will be a December 13th consultation with tour operators and related regulatory agencies, with the aim to develop standard operating procedures and emergency measures for all tours. More in the region. A call for global efforts to achieve the goal of reducing traffic deaths and injuries by half by 2030 has been made by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Every year, 1.3 million people die in road accidents and 50 million more are injured, making this the leading cause of death for children and young people. On November 20th, when the World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims is observed annually, the UN chief said, one of the best ways to remember and honor the victims is by doing our part to make roads safer around the world. The Secretary General also pointed out how road traffic crashes are linked to development. 9 out of 10 victims are in middle and low income countries. He said, saving more lives requires ensuring more funding for safe and sustainable mobility, whole of society action plans, and a strong prevention approach. He further stated, the United Nations Road Safety Conventions and Fund help countries strengthen national systems and infrastructure. I urge member states and donors to support these efforts and prevent further tragedies. And finally, on the international scene, China has recorded its highest number of daily COVID 19 cases since the start of the pandemic, despite strict measures to eliminate the virus. Several major cities, including the capital of Beijing and southern trade hub, Guangzhou, are experiencing outbreaks. Wednesday saw 31,527 cases recorded, compared with an April peak of 28,000. The numbers are still tiny for a country of 1.4 billion people, and officially just over 5,200 have died since the pandemic began. That equates to 3 COVID deaths in every million in China, compared with 3,000 per million in the US and 2,400 per million in the UK. While China's zero COVID policy has clearly saved lives, it has also dealt a punishing blow to the economy and ordinary people's lives. This has been WEFM's 3 p.m. News. I have been your presenter, Jessica Klein. Join us again at 5:30 p.m. for WEFM's Evening News, and we thank you for listening.
That could have been you. An accident.